Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet a nationally known communications expert. She's going to teach us all how to communicate with confidence next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
All right, it's 2025, so everybody needs to tell their own story, whether it's a personal brand or a corporate brand. And so you have to learn the special skills of communications. And so that's why I invited my next guest on the show. Trudy Hankins is in the studio. She's an entrepreneur, communications coach, and speaker. Thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So we throw around words like communication. And in your world, what does that mean? Like, how do you help your clients?
Yeah, it's just so important to understand that each one of us have a speaking style, a communication style. And it's not just about the words that we speak out of our mouth, but it's also about some of our behaviors. Because depending on what source you use, 50 to 97% of your behavior is nonverbal communication.
Yes.
So sometimes our nonverbal gets misinterpreted.
And you and I were talking before the show about the importance of listening. I mean, people don't think about that all the time when it comes to communication, but listening could be more important than talking.
Right. Active listening is so important, and being able to understand whether or not you're good at active listening or whether or not maybe that's a skill that you need to work on increasing. Like, it's just helpful to know that about yourself and then to be okay with it.
Yes.
Like, to just know, you know what, I'm not very good at active listening. Hang on. Tell me that again. I'm so sorry. I did check out. I apologize. Tell me that again. Like, even those little self-corrections, because now you know, and then you can communicate to them. They know.
Yes.
And it resolves the impending fight that's getting ready to happen.
And listening with your heart, because people will say stuff, but you actually have to be able to read between the lines.
Right.
So talk about the art of active listening.
It's the art of active listening. So one of the things that it's important to understand is, as you move into understanding what your preferences are, then you start listening, but then sometimes maybe you start building a story. And when you start building a story, ultimately that starts projecting onto them what the outcome is. And that's not active listening.
Yes.
And so this art of active listening is to be engaged and to truly listen without judgment, without extra thought processes, without starting the checklist of all the things that I need to do to correct them.
Right. Right.
But to just pause and stay engaged.
That's so important, because that famous book many years ago, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus.
Right.
I fall into this trap all the time. As soon as I hear my wife talking about something, I'm instantly problem solving. And maybe she doesn't need the problem solved. Maybe she just needs a friend to listen to her unload.
Right. Absolutely. And, you know, a lot of times that's like, people relate that to man and wife, but also it's coworker to coworker. Because sometimes you have a coworker who, like, I mean, their heart just bleeds for everything.
Yes.
But then you have the coworker that's just trying to get through their task list, because if I can get these things done, then it makes me feel good. Like, that's where I thrive, is when I put the check mark on the list.
Yes.
And if they're not communicating well, there's going to be tension and strife.
We're going to pull up your website, Trudy, and as we scroll down the website, let's talk about the kinds of clients that you like to help. Do you have a favorite avatar or a client that you've helped that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So my favorite coaching client is probably a CEO or an organization that has, well, really it doesn't matter. I mean, we can go up to 100, but obviously the bigger the group, the less personalized it gets. So if I can do the owner with their small team and really get them communicating well,
Yes.
then we can start, going down the chain to the rest of the corporation. But favorite is really just, do you breathe and do you own a business?
Yeah. And do you like to work directly with the owner, CEO?
I do like to work directly with them. I believe that if I can get you in a healthy spot and you're having conflicts in other places, that will start bleeding over. So if you're this owner that's like, man, my marriage, like I'm not telling anybody, but my marriage is not good. Well, we can start working on those things. Like, why is your marriage not good? Is it a communication problem? Are you hiding from them because, by coming to work and so they're mad because you work all the time? Like we can just work all of that out. And when you learn it about the job, you also learn it about the home and then vice versa. So healthy workplace, healthy marriage, healthy workplace.
Trudy, when did you realize you were gifted in this area?
I was introduced to this program about 5 or 6 years ago, and I really just absolutely fell in love with it because I've taught and coached assessments, and there's lots of popular ones that are used in the business world a lot. And I used to do those. But what I learned from all of those is that I was just a bulldozer. And so I just was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to figure out how to be the nicest bulldozer I can be. Like I couldn't figure out how to apply it. And then when I met this assessment and it showed me communication styles, it was no longer about what is my personality. It was no longer about what are my behaviors. It became, how do you communicate?
Yes.
And when I got into this assessment, I was like, wow, that's all I needed to do was walk up to that person and say, how are you today?
Yes.
Like it completely changed my world.
All right, let's talk more about bulldozing because I think it's a very common problem in America today.
Right, for sure.
What are some of the traits of a bulldozer?
So the thing about somebody that is commonly looked at as a bulldozer or maybe they're aggressive, things like that. The common thing is that they're busy doing a task. And so because they're so busy doing tasks, they get accused of not being about the person, about the human.
Yes.
And so like there's so many people that will say about me
Yes.
that, well, once you get to know her, you know that she loves you.
Yes.
But that's not my first impression, which when I learned these styles, then I all of a sudden was like, oh, let me change my first impression. Because now I can understand that, yes, I'm still all about the task. I'm still about getting it done. I need to know what the plan is.
Yeah.
I need to know, I need it done with excellence. Like there's all these things that I definitely want, but tied into all of that, I love people and I want them to be successful. It's just not the very first thing that I was sharing.
Yes.
And so now I know when I meet somebody new, I zone in on them and we build a little bit of relationship. I talk about them. I ask how they're doing. I find out what's happening in their life. It's no longer the task, like, let's get down to business.
Right.
Let's chat. Let me find out something about you. Let me let you know that I care.
That's beautiful. We're going to show some video of Trudy on other podcasts because you do a lot of podcasting. As we put this on the screen, you do have the heart of a teacher, don't you?
I do.
Does it bring you joy to educate people on things like confidence, bulldozing?
Yeah. Confidence is a big deal to me. Earlier in my career, I had a shop, a boutique, and it was called Confidence Shop. And what we used to sell what we used to say is that we don't technically sell clothes, that we actually sell confidence, and clothes are just the item of exchange. So it's a big deal to me to invest in people, to help really just change their life and to get them from point A to point B.
Yes.
To get people to understand, like, this is the way I was created and there's nothing wrong with it.
Yes.
Like, God didn't look down and go, oh, snap, I totally messed up when I made that person.
Right.
But instead, we can be like, you know what? This is how I was made. Like, I was made to be in those worlds that were taught me a long time ago.
Yes.
I was created to be a bulldozer, but those aren't terms that I use anymore. Now I've learned that I was created to be strong, confident, and an entrepreneur.
Let's talk a little bit about imposter syndrome, because I think that's a huge deal right now, because you have a lot of Gen Zs who they might be the best salesman, saleswoman in their department, so they get elevated to running a team, but they may not have read a management book, and so they have a little bit of imposter syndrome, because you could have a 25-year-old leading a team of 50-year-olds, and there's a little bit of an imposter syndrome going on. So, like, what would you say to a young leader?
To a young leader is to really understand what your leadership style is. And that is all connected to communication. And so when you start understanding your leadership style and you begin to understand their communication preferences, then you are able to really lean into who you are and how to lead them. So instead of reading all of the books about how you should be this or you should be that, like, I don't like the word should, because we should only be the person that we were created to be.
Yes.
When we use our strengths and we focus on our strengths, we're going to turn into the most confident person that we could be. But if we're zoned in on trying to improve our weaknesses, we're going to spend 80% of our strength trying to use or increase 20% of what we're not good at. It doesn't even make sense.
Trudy, let's stay with that example. So you have a 25-year-old leading a team of 50-year-olds, and in the 50-year-old's mind, they're thinking, dude, I was selling before you were born. So it takes a special skill set to lead, a baby boomer generation or a Gen X. Talk about like the skills that a young leader needs to be successful.
Right. So that young leader really needs to and there's different, you specifically said sales. So a lot of times salespeople have a particular language that's typically at the top of the preferences, and they will flip everything into a win-win. They typically are not good listeners. They typically don't do meetings well, because they would rather be out there connecting. So like their number one goal in those communication preferences is to make sure we're on the same page. So what they can do is, okay, now I've learned that about myself. I love to connect, I love to encourage, and I want to make sure we're on the same page. Now, instead of designing your meetings around death by PowerPoint, we now design our meetings around the 3 things that you're strong in. And so you start building relationship with that 50-year-old, and you start connecting with them, and you start getting on the same page as them. And all of a sudden your leadership flips into a whole new definition.
Outstanding. Trudy, we have about a minute left. So look into the camera on the left and talk to the company that might need to bring you in.
Yeah. So if you are having that employee, I can help you with that. We all have them, and it's typically just a communication issue. If you have your C-suite is just having conflicts, and we can't, seems like we're just bumping heads, I can help you with that. We can solve those problems. And if you as the leader are just saying, I'm missing something and I know I could be better, I can definitely help you there as well.
Outstanding. Trudy, you're amazing. We're going to end with your website, which is trudyhankins.com. The great Trudy Hankins. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate you so much. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.